It's that time of the week when we try to give you some laughs by getting a lowdown from a couple of comedians about what's going on in their world. With me today, Nihal Arthanayake and Lorelei Mathias. So, Lorelei, you have a new sketch show streaming online from today, which aims to celebrate neurodiversity in comedy. It's called Bat Sugar. Well, it's not called that, but we can't say.
I was thinking we could say Bat Beep. Bat Beep.
Bat Beep.
Yeah.
Bat Beep.
Yeah.
Sounds like a bad techno record. Now, you can see that on Comedy Source online. Tell us about it.
So Bat Beep is a new sketch show about a crazy planet. Melon comedy is something I set up about 3-4 years ago, and we have a sort of specialty, which is sketches about melancholy things and anything that's kind of insane about modern life. So for misogyny, the plastic crisis, modern love, lots of kind of ways into comedy in unexpected places, which I think I've always loved, finding laughs where you least expect them. That's why I wrote a book about breakups. But yeah, that's the sort of main point of it. But yeah, as you say, neurodiversity is a big part of it. Very much wanting to show an unusual perspective, like Nida as well, that stories that aren't told. And one thing I find really fascinating is when I was writing the website just now, the word neurodiversity still gets underlined in red. And that just blows my mind. Like the spell check, it's not a word yet. And it's only really it blows my mind that Apple, Google, Microsoft haven't decided it's a word yet. And yet kind of your big corporate companies, certainly my last job, were very hot on it, being inclusive, but not enough people really understand what it is to have a different brain type and to think differently. My personal experience is having ADD, which is both a blessing and a curse at different times. So yeah, as you say, in Bat Beep, we have sketches about this first episode. We've got one about ADD. Actually, no, I think it's in episode 2. Me basically clowning, because for me, everyday life with emaciated prefrontal cortex is very challenging. So it means your executive functioning, temporal awareness, prioritizing, knowing when to stay on track when you're in an interview like this and not ramble too much. Those are the challenges. So that sketch in particular shows me getting very tangled up. But yeah, do feel if you need to cut me off or take the steering wheel back, do feel free. It's an occupational hazard.
No. Nida and I are happily in the back seat of this car. We can't wait to see where this goes.
Oh, amazing. Well, no, because I will run over and I don't want to. But there's so many metaphors to describe ADD. Like it's like there's no air traffic control centre and you've got all your thought airplanes crashing in at once. So right now I'm having a million thoughts about what I could be saying that I should be saying instead of what I'm saying. So getting to the end of a sentence is a challenge. Getting out of the house on time without 3 re-entries, because you go back in to get what you forgot and you put something down and then you forget that thing, and it's clowning. That's what my best friend Lauren taught me. She's a trained clown and she has ADD, and so she directed me in that sketch. But learning to laugh at myself has been the absolute lifeline. Like there's no way Emmy, my co-writer, she has her own 3 letters after her name, and it's been our lifeline, absolutely. The sort of like realization that the comedy is the best meds, that's how we put it anyway.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question, how ADD becomes a kind of superpower on stage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm too scared to go on stage, to be honest. So I don't do live. But people always say to me, "Oh, you should." But the overwhelm of getting because you get brain freeze as well as you get complete overwhelm of 1,000 thoughts at lightning speed colliding. You can also get brain fog, and so I prefer for me to be able to write something, edit it, film it, act in it, and then that is controlling it.
Okay.
I forgot what your question was. Sorry.
Okay, then kind of keeping it animal related to a certain extent, although where I'm going with this is very a mythical creature that doesn't actually exist. Lorelei, you've been taking lessons to be able to swim with a
tail, mermaid's tail. That's right. Yeah, I am.
Right, so that's a thing. You can do swimming lessons, with a mermaid's tail.
It's not just a thing. I am a mermaid. To all my friends, apparently I am a mermaid, so they all chipped in and bought me a mermaid's tail this year. It's partly nominative determinism. My dad and mum named me after a mythical siren mermaid, Lorelei. So it's been one of those things. I always struggled with my name because I felt like no one could say it or spell it, and it was weird. But now I've kind of really leaned into the weird, and living down in Brighton, learned to swim with the tail. And we've got a sketch called The Litter Mermaid and Under the P, if I can say that on air, both of which are seeing the problem of pollution, but from the perspective of mermaids and the mermaid community, and how, you know, they're having to clean up plastic and poop from the sea now because man has wrecked it to that extent. And so part of that is I've had to dress up as a mermaid for the sketches, and then I've kind of really enjoyed it. And
Do you know what? It is one of the lesser told stories of the climate catastrophe. The plight of mermaids, isn't it?
I mean, so in the sketch, they go and see human resources to complain that it's not the job they thought it was going to be, and they're like, well, you know, the job spec said mermaid of the sea. That's it. That's your job description. So they're wearing high-vis jackets and cleaning up condoms and plastic bottles. But it's kind of not to sound too worthy, because a lot of our sketches are quite silly and about nonsense as well. But this one is the statistic that by 2050 there's going to be more plastic than fish in the ocean. That in itself is hysterical, but awful. Like, how have we done that? How has man done that? And
how many mermaids will there be by 2050?
Well, they're endangered species. I don't.
Right, so no one's doing research on that, are they?
No, I'm happy to. Someone gives me funding.
Someone will give Lorelei a research grant for that.
Please,
start applying. Now, where can people catch Bat Beep? Where can they catch it?
It's going live today on comedysource.uk, but also meloncomedy.com and all of the usual social, gubbins. We're on Twitter, Melon Comedy. That's the main thing. But once every Tuesday they release a new episode, and we're going to hopefully make more.
and Nida Mansour, thank you very much indeed. We Are Lady Parts will be on Channel 4. Okay.